Fallout 4 has a number of mechanics that the game does not tell you about, including some simple glitches and exploits, and in this guide I am going to go through 8 of them. Hi, I'm Mo and I'm trapped in Fallout. The first one we're going to look at is the VATS system. Now, chances are you've used VATS plenty times, but did you know that when you're in VATS, you don't actually need to use VATS. Instead, you can sort of look around VATS using one of the analog keys, and if you do it enough times, then you get into this mode where you can virtually look around your entire surroundings effectively in super slow motion. So right now I am using VATS, but I'm not using it in its traditional sense. Instead, I'm using it to look around my immediate surroundings to get an idea of the environment that I'm in. So by using this somewhat mechanic that isn't told to you about in any way, in this instance I am able to see that there are 2 turrets. I'm able to see there's a frag mine right over there. I'm able to see that there are some gunners around me which happen to be high level, including gunners that are over there behind hidden objects and so on. You can use VATS without actually aiming at anything and instead just slowing the game down, effectively super ultra jet mode if you like, and getting a really good idea of everything that is around you. Now, do be warned that if you do use this mechanic, you will still continue to take damage, as you can see, but that's probably not too much of a downside given the advantage you get by being able to do this. In Fallout 4, did you know that you can even have a shield mechanic up and running? A shield is effectively you get yourself into a situation where you basically are able to shield yourself from taking any damage. So I'm sure you're probably aware of the take mechanic where you find something and you can take it, but did you know that if you hold on to the button, you can sort of pick objects up? Now, chances are you probably already knew about this, but did you know that they don't lose their collision effect, and as a result you can use them as a shield? So I happen to be in the National Training Guard area and I'm just going to approach this turret over there, and I'm going to position the power armor that I have holding in this instance to the point where the bullets that hit me, the most of them actually hit the item that I'm holding instead of hitting me. So what that really means is if I get into this situation, I can use this thing that I'm holding as a shield. Now, what you can also do is take your weapon out and hold the shield, and you can use it to a position where you can sort of approach your enemies as close as you want with virtually taking no damage. Now, the further away you are, the more likely you will take damage if you do use this mechanic, because some of the bullets do actually tend to make it past the thing you're carrying. But if you happen to go close enough, then the surface area that the item or the object or the enemy that is trying to hit you is reduced, and as a result almost all of the bullets they're firing actually end up hitting your shield instead of hitting you. And when this happens, you can find pockets of window to throw the item you're holding as your shield to the ground and then take out the enemy. So in this case, I'm just going to wait for a window where the turret stops firing, and when it does, I'm going to throw the item down and take it out instead. So this is a really cool mechanic that you can use to effectively reduce the amount of damage you're taking, and you can carry anything that you're able to hold. Now, do note that when you do use this mechanic, the weight of the item comes into account. So if you're holding something like a really large trash bin, you won't be able to move as quickly. But if you're holding something like a power armor, which I happen to be in this instance, you can run and you can sort of continue to play the game as normal. When in settlement build mode, did you know that gravity doesn't apply to everything that you build? So for example, if I build a shack floor to begin with, just something that is raised off the ground, so I'll build one over there and I will build one over there, and let's just place some random furniture, it doesn't really matter. Let's place a seat over there, and on this one let's place something like a turret maybe, so let's place a turret over there. If I scrap this shack floor, then notice the seat, it jumps down, and that's because there is some physics engine gravity, if you like, that's applied to this seat. So this the chair itself cannot sort of suspendedly stay in the air indefinitely. However, if I scrap this shack foundation, notice that the turret indefinitely stays floating in the air, and that's because the factor that's applied to this object here is not applied to this object, and you can use that to your advantage. So for instance, let's just say, let me repeat that. So I will build another shack foundation over here, and I will now place a turret on top. So let's just place one over there. And now I will scrap this foundation, and because I've scrapped it, I can now place something over here. And what you can do is have this sort of effect where you have things floating about and you can have things underneath it where the collision isn't applied because you've scrapped that particular object that was there previously. So I'll let you use your imagination, but you can use this technique to build all sorts of things to take advantage of the space you have. Sometimes you can't, say, horizontally build in a settlement, so you need to build vertically instead. And this is one such thing that you can do to take advantage of the space that you do have when building settlements. Now, before looking at the next one, if you made it this far into the video, then please do consider liking this video. And if you found any of the tips useful, then please do also consider leaving a comment, as that really helps the channel out. Okay, so with that said then, the next one we're going to look at is what I would like to call the wall climbing glitch. So this isn't a mechanic as such, but it isn't so impactful enough that it is considered, if you like, a really big glitch or a really big exploit. What I'm going to do is climb this wall. So what that really means is, if you have a look, I cannot climb this wall simply because the game isn't really designed to allow you to do anything like that. But you can trick the game into thinking that there's a platform right underneath you, and as you do that, you can effectively climb walls, and this is how you do it. Similar to one of the tips I showed you where you can pick up an object and use it as a shield, you need to find an object that you can pick up. So I think there is a bucket just around here. So an object that has usually a large enough surface area, such as this bucket over here. So if I pick this bucket up and I will take it and put it right next to the wall, so that should be right over here, and I'll just put it here, and now I will have my back to the wall and I will pick this object up. And now as I have my back to the wall, I need to basically press back, and as I do that, the game should, in fact I probably need to put it closer to the wall, but as I do that, the game will start to think that I'm basically standing on a platform, and as I do that, I should be able to climb up the wall like this. So right now I'm climbing up the wall because the game thinks I'm actually standing on a platform. I'm really not, but it thinks I am, and if I do it enough, I should be able to climb the wall just like that. And then you can just let go of the item and that's it. Now in this case I happen to use a bucket, but you can really use anything. One thing that you may want to use are any, if you like, gear that you find, whether it's sort of weapons, large weapons actually, or any sort of armor based items like combat armor or power armor. But you can use this mechanic to basically climb walls, giving you access to areas that you otherwise might not be able to have direct access to. Now this next one is an interesting one. Did you know there's actually a cover system in Fallout 4? So if I take this enemy out, if I go behind this wall and then I sort of hit the aim button, I actually can peek around the wall. And as I sort of hold down the aim button and peek around the wall, this wall effectively becomes a little bit of a cover fire for me. And if I let go of the button, I go back to my original position. So if I repeat this process, so right here, I'm hiding behind the wall, but then if I peek, I can use my weapon to shoot at an enemy, and then when I let go, I sort of go back into cover mode. And you can use this to your advantage really, to the point where you can use this to cover yourself whenever there's a particularly interesting situation. So if I go into this area here, you can sort of almost cover yourself in the smallest of areas. So right here, there's obviously not any cover fire, but you're effectively emulating what other NPCs are doing. So if I see if I can find something over here to shoot at, that's a really good example over there. I can use this pillar as a cover and then aim, and if I go to either side, I can cover from either side. So here's me on the left, and if I go to the right, then I can go on the right and I can use this as cover. So there is a hidden cover and peek mechanic in Fallout 4 that you can use when aiming with your weapons. The next tip we're going to look at is the shelf building glitch with a slight modification. So when you go up to the wall, if you already don't know what the shelf building glitch is this. You go up to a wall and you can place a shelf, and then you can continue to place a shelf non-stop without having to worry about moving the shelf about. And as you do this, your settlement build bar or your settlement capacity bar that's located on the top right slowly starts to fill up. And the point of this is that you can basically create as many as you want and get a good amount of XP as a result. And if you compound this with something like the Edit Savant perk, then you basically get a lot. However, the downside is when you want to clean this up, because your settlement bar on the top right has filled up, you need to sort of do this. You need to scrap one at a time, and it is a rather time consuming process to do this. However, you can do this instead. Instead of placing these shelves on these static walls that the game provides, build your own wall. So if I build a wall, so I will build, say, this wall over here, and then I will go back into shelves and notice how many shelves we have at the moment. We've got access to 567. Let's build the walls on this custom wall that we just built, and notice that we continue to get XP and we continue to building shelves on this wall. Now I'm not going to spend too much more time on this other than this, but the idea is that you can build shelves. Now I'm going to stop. Now here, where we are forced to scrap each shelf at a time, in this instance you can just scrap the wall, and as soon as you scrap the wall you basically get most of the resources back as normal. Your settlement build bar goes down and you don't have to spend time scrapping each wall individually one at a time. And if you go back into your wall, so let's build another wall just to sort of show you, you will notice a glitch. So if I build this and if I go back into shelves, so notice that it says I currently have 569 shelves that I can build. Although the shelf is going down, my resource is not going down, and that's because of a slight calculation error that's happening because we scrapped the wall and not the shelves individually. However, it's not really a problem because if you continue to build shelves, eventually the amount of scrap you're supposed to have will be caught up and you will start to see your steel resources go down. So at some point, as in here, the steel resources are going down and I'm getting more XP. But the whole point is, if you do it this way, then you don't have to spend a significant amount of time scrapping shelves, and it's a little bit more easier of a process, and you also do continue to get your XP as well. Now this next one we're going to look at is again a rather simple one, but it can make a huge difference. So I'm going to go into my weapons workbench. I happen to have a minigun and I'm going to go into the shredder, and this gun just happens to be a gun I found and it happens to have the shredder modification applied to it. I'm going to remove this modification from this weapon, and as a result of removing the modification from the weapon, it doesn't cost me anything. So I'm now going to exit and I am now just going to throw this weapon away. And if I go back into my Pip-Boy and if you go into your mods, you will notice that you have the shredder that's been added as a mod, and this is literally the mod that you just removed from that minigun. So I'm going to throw this away as well, but I will pick it up in a moment to show you. So now I'm going to pick up this minigun just to sort of show you what will happen, and I'm going to go into the weapons workbench and I'm going to try and apply the shredder, and notice I can't apply it because I don't meet the gun nut requirement that's sort of shown on the bottom right. If I had that requirement, I would be able to build the shredder modification on this weapon. However, if you happen to have a modification from other weapons, so this shredder was originally applied to this minigun, if I take this shredder and now go back into the weapons modification, I should be able to apply it. And the reason I can apply it is because I'm applying it directly from my inventory. I won't use any resources and I don't need to meet the perk requirement. This tip is basically just that. You can take mods from weapons you don't want and attach them to weapons that you do want the mods to without having to meet the mod or any resource requirements. And the last tip we're going to look at in this guide is to basically build a farm that helps you to generate caps. So I happen to be in Grey Garden where there are a number of handyman and there are no settlers, and typically when you place a resource, like if we go into food, I'm not sure if I have any food, but if I go into food and if I place perhaps some carrots or corn, etc., I need to have a settler assigned to this resource to generate this resource. However, if you have any water-based resources such as a water pump, so if I just put down a water pump, then unlike food resources where you need to assign a settler to generate that type of resource in the settlement, with water pumps specifically, or any other water-based resource such as a powered water pump or a water purifier and so on, you do not need any settlers, and you can place as many as you want or as many as you're able to, and this will generate water for you, or to be more specific, purified water for you. What you can then do is visit that settlement, take the purified water, take it to vendors and exchange it for items that you want from the vendor, effectively acting as proxy currency for you. The beauty of building water is you can find a settlement, doesn't have to be populated with settlers, doesn't even need to be populated with anything really. Just build a ton of water-based resources and periodically visit that settlement over time to grab all of the water, because again, water-based resources do not need settlers, and you will be able to grab that purified water and basically sell it for extra caps or exchange it for items that you want. In this guide, I went through some hidden mechanics, including some easy peasy glitches that you can use to enhance your time in the Commonwealth. That said, there are many more extreme glitches in Fallout 4, and if you want to learn more about them, then click on the video you see on the screen right now. Click on the video you see on the screen right now to learn more about some insane Fallout 4 glitches.